people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
To the mother relay, we're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Next month on the 27th, on the undercard of Okoli versus Chris Smith, Karis Artingstall will be returning to action, attempting to advance to a professional record of 4-0 opposite the ring, Jade Taylor, in what is a battle of the unbeatens. I'm very impressed with Karis Artingstall. Her pedigree shines through in her boxing, but you can tell
she's got a mean streak. She's not just a boxer.
Those of you that have been following this channel for some time will know that I love me a spiteful southpaw, and that's what Karis Artingstall is.
She's mean.
Though fundamentally sound, educated boxing, educated pressure, I want to say that Karis Artingstall has all the fundamentals of the boxer-puncher with the mean-spirited aggression and volume of the pressure fighter. It's very early.
She's got a hybrid style.
She doesn't have any recorded knockouts, not yet, but as she continues to develop as a fighter, I think she's going to start racking them up because there does seem to be mustard on no shots.
Sporting a professional record of 3 wins with no losses, no draws, no recorded knockouts, not yet.
That could soon change opposite the ring, Jade Taylor, who sports a professional record of 5 wins with no losses, no draws, no recorded knockouts.
She's going to have a very angry Olympian in front of her next month.
Karis Artingstall fights at a fast pace. She fights with a sense of urgency, almost like you ran over her cat in the driveway. She's hell-bent on making you pay for it. Jade Taylor, she's going to have to deal with her next month. Jade, who was last in action earlier this month on the 9th, opposite the ring, Lindsey Buczynski.
It's a common opponent between Jade and Karis, Lindsey Buczynski.
Jade fought Lindsey Buczynski earlier this month on the 9th, whereas Karis, she fought her a little bit before that, last month on the 25th.
They both beat Lindsey.
They'll be facing each other next. I want to say that Karis Artingstall has one of the higher ceilings of any unbeaten up-and-comer in today's featherweight division. Featherweight, that's where Amandia Serrano campaigns as that division's undisputed champion, and that's where this contest between Jade and Karis is going to take place.
And I'm just going to come right out and say it. I think Karis is going to be too much for Jade Taylor.
I believe that the aesthetic of this match between Karis Artingstall and Jade Taylor, it's going to look a lot like the Lindsey Buczynski fight before it.
You could argue that Jade Taylor is a cut above Lindsey Buczynski because, well, she beat Lindsey Buczynski. She did, but the match is going to play out the same way.
Karis is going to pressure her. Karis is going to shoot that jab and step into it out of the southpaw stance, and before you know it, Jade Taylor's going to find herself back on the ropes, getting pressured, getting worked.
Getting hit.
Jade, who is a good and serviceable fighter, she is, but she ain't got the snap on her shots that Karis has.
The intent.
Or the coordination, punch for punch. I don't think she can match Karis Artingstall's power either. One thing that I really like about Karis Artingstall is her shot selection. Punches to the head, punches to the body, straight punches, hooks.
Karis is really good.
She gives you a lot, shows you a lot
at
this very early stage in her career when she's only 3-0. I don't think Jade Taylor has what it takes to weather the storm. And the Lindsey Buczynski fight, in many ways, reads like a rehearsal for this fight.
This fight between Karis and Jade.
For Karis, I think this fight is going to play out a lot like the Lindsey Buczynski fight played out. She's going to pressure Jade, back her off, and punish her on those ropes.
What she's going to do.
Conservatively, you could go with Karis Artingstall to win a points decision, though I don't rule out a knockout because I reiterate, the Buczynski fight seems a lot like a rehearsal for this fight. The next time we see Karis, we may see an even more put-together fighter.
Karis is something special.
That proliferation of unbeaten up-and-comers in today's featherweight division. Sophia Leash, Sarah Liegman, Raven Chapman, Sky Nicholson, Karis Artingstall, Ebony Jones.
And there's more. Believe me, there's more.
Of all those unbeaten up-and-comers in today's featherweight division, I'd have to say Karis Artingstall, she's one of the more put-together fighters. The only fighter I think that is more put together than Karis Artingstall, these unbeaten up-and-comers, it would have to be Raven Chapman.
I fucking love Raven Chapman.
Karis is up there. She's a quality operator, and she's going to show her shit on the undercard of Okoli versus Chris Smith. Look for that late next month on the 27th. In other news, Floyd Mayweather has lined up his next exhibition match opposite the ring, John Gotti III, who stated, "Growing up, I idolized Floyd Mayweather, but on June 11th, I'm going to punish him."
In an exhibition match.
I swear to God, these things get more and more arbitrary the more time passes. As BoxingScene.com previously reported, Hall of Famer Floyd Money Mayweather will step into the ring on Sunday, June 11th for his latest exhibition showdown. Mayweather will take on John Gotti III, the grandson of organized crime icon John Gotti, headlining a Zeus Network pay-per-view on Sunday, June 11th from FLA Live Arena in Sunrise, Florida. The event is dedicated to the memory of Marikit Kichi Lauricio, Mayweather's longtime assistant who passed away suddenly in April.
Condolences.
Now, this exhibition match, this latest one, once again involves the quote-unquote Zeus Network. The last one that Floyd did, opposite the ring, that Chalmers guy,
Right.
that was by way of the Zeus Network as well.
But who the hell do they think wants to see this?
Remember, this is a pay-per-view. You have to pay to see it. So who do they think wants to pay to see this?
I don't know.
For the event, Mayweather will partner up with renowned director and producer Deon Taylor, CEO of Hidden Empire Film Group, with the event being called Last Names Matter. In addition to Mayweather's exhibition, the event will feature performances from superstar recording artist Ozuna and more. Ozuna has won multiple Latin Grammy Awards and Billboard Music Awards, in addition to his 2018 collaboration with DJ Snake, Cardi B, and Selena Gomez on Taki Taki that went quadruple platinum. After a legendary career that saw him compile a perfect 50-0 record whilst winning 12 world titles across 5 weight classes, Mayweather has gone around the world fighting in exhibitions.
These really don't seem like high-profile exhibitions. I want to say the last high-profile opponent he had for an exhibition match has to have been Logan Paul over a year ago.
The opponents seem like they're becoming more and more obscure. He had an exhibition match with an old sparring partner in Don Moore over there in the Middle East, some Japanese kickboxer in Japan, more recently, some guy that goes by the name of Chalmers in the UK. Apparently he's some kind of reality TV star, and now he's boxing John Gotti's grandson.
All right.
I'm all about bringing the biggest and best events to the people, and Sunday, June 11th, is going to be like nothing else you've seen in the sports and entertainment world, said Mayweather. This is all about combining the entertainment of top-flight musical performances with top-flight skills in the ring. I love the fans in South Florida, and I know they're going to appreciate this premier event we're going to bring them. For his last event, there were actually poor ticket sales.
The Chalmers fight in the UK by way of the Zeus Network.
I wish I could tell you what the hell the Zeus Network is and what kind of content you'd find on that platform, but the truth is I don't know and I can't be bothered to find out.
I won't.
These exhibition matches that Floyd is having, I honestly don't know what audience they cater to, because it's not the boxing fans, clearly, but John Gotti's grandson?
Is he like a star or something? Like one of those influencers? What is he, a B, C, D-lister?
I mean, he's John Gotti's grandson. I get that. I remember John Gotti.
He was a nice guy.
Always dressed nice. They called him the Dapper Don. Gotti III began his pro MMA career in 2017, racking up a 5-1 record competing in CES MMA shows. He officially made his transition into pro boxing in October of last year, winning a unanimous decision over Albert Tully. He followed that up with a first-round knockout over Alex, I can't say his last name, in his last fight this January. I grew up idolizing Floyd, and I'm honored to have this chance to step in the ring against him, said Gotti. He's one of the greatest boxers of all time, and he's the reason I got into the fight game. But on June 11th, I'm gonna punish him.
And on June 11th, I won't be watching.
Let's not pretend that this is a high-profile event, a high-profile show. It's not. And because someone of Floyd Mayweather's stature, who has made the kind of money that he has made in the sport of boxing, is continually participating in events like this.
Opposite the ring, C and D-listers.
It's all very strange, and I can't help but think the reason that Floyd is staging these exhibition matches one after the other in sequence, he's keeping a busier schedule than many active boxers. I can't help but think that this guy's got money woes, and he's just trying to get money wherever he can right now.
Just trying to keep his head above water. That's how it it looks.
That's how it reads. He very recently commented on Oscar De La Hoya not being there post-fight for Ryan Garcia, his fighter, saying, "If Tank was to win or take a loss, I would have stood behind him 100%. If I'm with you through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Loyalty is a lifestyle, not an action."
Then why didn't you let Gervonta Davis use your gym in preparation for this fight? Why were there reports circulating that he was not allowed to use the same gym that he used for many years when he was under the Mayweather promotional banner?
Where did those reports come from? Why did Gervonta Davis leave Mayweather Promotions?
Both Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe were in attendance for what turned out to be Gervonta Davis's biggest fight and his biggest box office success.
But I can't stress this enough that if not for Ryan Garcia's participation and the concessions that he made, what he was willing to concede to, adhere to, in order to make this fight, if not for Ryan,
you guys wouldn't have nothing to celebrate but the same mediocre numbers you always put up.
he's what made this fight as big as it turned out to be, not you guys. Not just Gervonta, anyway. Gervonta Davis himself, who said, "I always appreciate Floyd for being in my corner and having my back."
The fight before last, neither Floyd Mayweather or Leonard Ellerbe were in attendance for the Hector Garcia fight.
At least they didn't seem to have as active a role as they may have had ahead of this fight with Ryan Garcia. He just gave me words, great words. Davis said during the press conference, he was telling me to stay calm. I always like to listen to Floyd when it comes to big stages like this because he's the only one that's been in my shoes and been like in these types of fights, you know what I mean? So I always try to stay close to Floyd when stuff like this happens, you know what I mean? Just to keep me humble and, you know, like, have me on the right track, you know what I mean? So I always appreciate Floyd for being in my corner and having my back, always, you know what I mean? So it will always be love for Floyd Mayweather on the heels of this massive success, because that's what the fight turned out to be. You have to wonder if Gervonta Davis won't make a decision to go back to Leonard Ellerbe, to go back to Floyd Mayweather, to ink a new deal with Mayweather Promotions, or will his situation stay the same?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Been talking a lot about how there are those out there who wish to herald Gervonta Davis as the face of boxing based on how this fight performed at the box office. Those out there who are downplaying Ryan Garcia's role in all of this, even though Gervonta Davis never once put up numbers like this until he fought Ryan.
It's very obvious to many that Ryan Garcia's involvement played a big role in why this fight sold as much as it sold, because Ryan, whilst having never been on pay-per-view, Gervonta Davis, he has 5 times before this time.
And he never came close to doing numbers like this. He never sold half this much.
Never once. Never came close.
So he does all these buys opposite the ring, Ryan Garcia, and all of a sudden there are people out there that want me and you to believe that that was what? All Gervonta Davis fans?
And where the hell were they for the first 5 pay-per-views?
It's ridiculous. It's childish is what it is, and what it comes from is a need for validation.
I told you, that's what it's all about. They want to feel
like this pay-per-view's success is attributed to them and their patronage, their support, when in reality, their support didn't seem to count for all that much.
Not really.
Gervonta Davis has been on pay-per-view plenty of times. He never did numbers like this.
So if all of a sudden he does 1 million buys, I hardly think it's because of you guys.
That's easy enough to figure out. All you have to do is look at his track record. So then you have to ask yourself, if it's that easy to figure out, then why do these guys and gals get offended when you say that?
It's because it highlights that he's not as big a draw as they make him out to be. He's not as big a star as they let on.
Not as good a fighter, either. Mario Barrios very recently made a big revelation. Apparently, according to Mario, I had a rehydration clause, just never cared to use it as an excuse because I agreed to the contract.
That doesn't change that it was there. That doesn't change that Gervonta Davis's lawyers, when they drew up the contracts, they thought it necessary to put a rehydration clause in there.
Now, we can get into the whole keeping the same energy conversation, that kind of deal, that many of Gervonta Davis's fans that are okay with Gervonta's rehydration clauses take issue with Canelo's, even though Canelo no longer uses them.
We know he used one in a Jacobs fight, one similar to the IBF's 10-pound rehydration cap.
And it is speculated that he used one again in the Sergey Kovalev fight. But since the Callum Smith fight, according to Callum Smith himself, there were no weight stipulations.
He confirmed that on Talk Sport himself. Canelo didn't catch weight him. him a rehydration clause him. There's nothing that suggests and nothing that indicates that Canelo used weight stipulations for the Callum Smith fight,
No.
the Billy Joe Saunders fight,
No.
or the Caleb Plant fight.
No.
That his undisputed run was devoid of weight stipulations. Though if weight stipulations bother Gervonta Davis's fans so much when it comes to Canelo, why don't those weight stipulations bother them when it comes to Gervonta?
Because they're hypocrites.
But we knew that already. What really grabs my attention about this latest revelation by way of Mario Barrios is how it accents what I've been telling you all along. If you use the rehydration clause for Mario Barrios,
Right.
and you use the rehydration clause for Ryan Garcia,
Right.
I hardly think that fights with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson are going to happen because they're not going to go for that. Up until this point, we didn't know that there were any weight stipulations in the Mario Barrios fight. So now we do, and the takeaway from that, at least for me, is that makes it even less likely that we see fights like Davis versus Stevenson or Davis versus Haney, because unless he can handicap those fighters and weight drain them,
I was never holding my breath for him to fight those fighters. The fact of the matter is, if Gervonta Davis wants to continue putting up robust numbers at the box office, it's those guys that he's got to fight, because those are the interesting fights.
those are the fights that people want to see. Those are the fights at this point in the juncture. Now that you've already fought Ryan, you've been there, you've done that, and you made money.
Congratulations.
The show sold a fuck ton of pay-per-views, and your deluded fans are pretending that that's not because of Ryan Garcia.
So let's see him do it again.
Without Devin, without Shakur, let's see Gervonta Davis put up 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. Let's see it, because he never did it before Ryan.
You want to downplay Ryan Garcia's contribution to the value of this show, even though it's obvious.
You can do what you want, tell yourself what you want, believe what you want. If Gervonta Davis in his very next fight don't do numbers like this, like this past weekend's numbers.
Why do you think that is?
Unless I'm mistaken, Gervonta Davis has a court date coming up in May, and we'll see what happens with that, if he ends up doing a little bit of time, or if it just turns out to be a slap on the wrist. If he's allowed to fight later on this year, let's see what his numbers look like without Ryan.
Without Devin, without Shakur, let's see how big a draw he really is.
And don't misunderstand me, I'm not telling you that Ryan Garcia, based on the outcome of this past weekend's fight, is going to go sell a fuck ton of pay-per-views himself. A lot of people think that he quit, so his marquee value did take a hit.
But leading up to this fight, if anything got this fight the profile that it got, it wasn't Gervonta. It wasn't. He's been on pay-per-view plenty of times. He never did numbers like this. It was Ryan.
And now, without Ryan, what are you gonna do to put up numbers like that again? Who are you gonna box?
Unless it's Shakur or the winner of Lomachenko versus Haney.
Those are all fights that I would gladly pay for. I would pay to see Gervonta Davis versus any one of those three aforementioned fighters, but if it's not one of them...
You don't actually think I'm going to pay to see a rerun, do you?
Isaac Cruz rerun, Romero rerun, even if it is for the WBA title, so what?
We got a lot of high-profile options on your side of the street.
Before you go telling me that he's the one with the Midas touch.
Yeah, let's see what his next numbers look like.